It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we have another video suggested by one of you guys in the Discord community. Shout out to Cozy for suggesting this one from Scott Junn, titled WTF Are These New Perks? Grimoire Dead by Daylight. Now, I pretty much have not been paying much attention to the Grimoire chapter. I have really no interest in it, considering the with the votes that went through, I've really just lost complete interest. I don't think that the killer looks that good. I think that they kind of strayed away from what, like, my expectations of what I thought the chapter would be. I think that it kind of fell off, if you ask me. I think it's not, I don't think it's that good. I think the power doesn't look great. I'm just not interested. So with that being said, I want to at least hear what kind of perks they might be adding, and maybe you guys would want to hear about it as well. So let's go ahead and get into it from Scott Junn here.
Perks that the chapter is going to ship with, and I want to review those perks today because some of them, someone was smoking some crack or something like that when they made them. They are absolutely crazy on one way or the other, and some are just completely fine. So I mean, let's just get right into it.
Let's take a look at it.
So the first one is Lay Waste, a perk that increases regression on near complete generators. This one I think is pretty safe. So whenever you damage a generator, for each charge it had, it regresses 1% faster. That means if you kick a generator that's 1% off of completing, it'll regress 89% faster because 90 charges is a full generator. So the most you could ever possibly get for a perfectly 99 generator is 89% regression, which is a lot. That is, you know, almost doubling the amount of regression until you...
Yeah, let's try to pause it and try to use our noggins here. Let's think for a second. We're having a perk that basically says we're getting overcharge, you know, again, basically, except the difference is it's based around the percentage of the gen completed. Which means that if you have a gen with, let's say, 10%, that means that the gen will regress 10% faster. Which, if it's only 10% of a gen, then you'll kick it, it might do like 5 on base, so I guess it'll technically be like 10% of like the 5% or something. It just sounds really silly. And let alone the fact that the cooldown is nearly 2 minutes for that. So that means that you're waiting, good lord. This is DVD time we're talking about, so you can only use it one time every, let's say, 2 gens. That's kind of insane, I guess. And considering diminishing returns, that means that you probably cannot stack this with Call of Brine. You probably can't stack it with Overcharge, because why would you? Doesn't sound very powerful or very useful. I mean, considering the fact that it has a 120-second cooldown. If they made it without a cooldown, I would say, hey, that's pretty good. Or if they made it 30 seconds, I go, hey, that's pretty good. A lot of other perks have that kind of cooldown. I'm like, hey, that's fine. But 2 minutes? Like, 2 minutes for it to regress a little faster when other perks on base give you, say, 50% because they nerfed Call of Brine. It used to be 150 or 125 or whatever it was. They nerfed the crap out of it, so it only does 50%, and then Overcharge on its own, I think, does, God, it's been a while since I've used it, but it's probably like, we'll say 100. So, yeah, no, this perk is very pointless. You will never see anybody use it beyond the release date. It seems very bad. Diminishing returns. I mean, that's the main reason.
You think about perks like, you know, Call of Brine used to be the exact same thing. It used to be 100% faster, or it was 200% of the total, so 100% faster. And that had no requirements. You just kick the generator. So that Call of Brine was just infinitely better than this perk. Now, to be fair, Call of Brine Eruption Overcharge is commonly cited as one of the strongest killer metas in existence, and it was insanely strong when you combined all those things together. But just this perk by itself.
I mean, yeah, but, you know, let's make sure we add a little context. Like, around that time, that's when Eruption had, like, these sort of, there was that one status effect that I forgot the name of, where it's like incapacitated, where you couldn't even touch the gen because of the trap went off. That's a completely different thing, okay? Let's add a little bit of context. You know what I mean? And you know, before, you know, the pitchforks come out, obviously, there's also some pretty nasty metas that have been on Survivor for quite some time too, that for some unknown reason is never addressed. But, you know, hey.
Elf is not particularly amazing. Now, in theory, you could combine this with Call of Brine to get, you know, above the old Call of Brine's value, but that's in a very perfect scenario where the generator is just about to pop, and realistically, you're probably looking more like something like 40 to 60%.
Exactly. So it's useless. Isn't that great? What a garbage perk. And I'm not surprised. I mean, I already noticed that the killer power already just looked really just lackluster and repetitive, as we've already had. Like, to me, it just looked like Vecna, like that we had from Stranger Things, but just like with light. I'm like, okay, congratulations. Like, I like the beam we had last, like the laser beam out of the hand thing was way more interesting because no character in the game does that. But of course, now we know he just had to get copy pasted OG original Henry, I guess, instead. So silly. I don't understand it.
Additional regression whenever you kick the generator. And this is the regression speed. It's not like Pop Goes the Weasel, where it, you know, just loses a bunch of progress immediately. It means the rate at which it slowly regresses is increased.
Exactly. Scott is right about that too. It is the regression speed. So that obviously means that if you, for some unknown reason, want to use this perk, and obviously diminishing returns, but if you apply it to the gen, then of course that also means that it's going to take however long it's going to take to actually regress, which is not reliable, because you already know that if you kick gens and then they're sparking, there's usually always one person just waiting for them to just tap it so that it doesn't continue to regress. So kicking in general has already been pretty terrible, just because of just the sheer existence of 4 people alive at the same time. There's always going to be somebody around, usually just waiting to finish to be able to stop the gen, or at least be able to finish it. Even especially with the progression that it needs to be for this to reach its maximum amount, you know what I mean? So if it's like you're looking for a high amount of progress for it to progress faster, say 80, 90, or even 70, best believe they're gonna know where that gen is, and best believe they're gonna want to go back. So like, the regression doesn't mean anything in this situation, and that's unfortunate. Not great. I think that's a pretty terrible perk in my opinion. Very, very bad. Goodbye.
Can be an okay perk if they tweak some numbers. Next, we have Under Your Thumb. The first time a survivor gains haste, a dull totem ignites. Survivors cannot gain more than 25% haste at a time. This is just a basically like Scooby-Doo take the hood off. This is just an anti-exhaustion perk, because there's no...
Yeah, it's an anti-exhaustion perk that's dog shit. I'm wow. Like, the second that says totem ignites, you lost it. I'm like, yep, goodbye. Rest in peace. Like, you would have had something. You would have had, like, if it was a cool, like, if it was like they for the first time a survivor gains haste, a timer begins and then they can't use any haste for that duration of time, and then it goes on cooldown. Cool. But it's a totem. So I'm like, oh, okay. So we're just never gonna see this perk ever get used. I'm like, nice. But you already know they're gonna have the few people. I use totems all the time. I'm actually really good with those. They don't ever break them when I use them. I'm always getting devour value. Like, congratulations. Like, you're at the casual MMR levels, where people don't know where totems are. But when you go past that, you know, where I can't even say everyone, but when you go past that, which is people that do play the game more than, you know, an hour a day or something like that, or whatever combination of hours, whatever, the experience level gets high enough where they say have used boon builds before and know where the totems are, so they'll check those. You know, also they like to leave a little symbol on their screen when it's active, so it's not like they're not gonna know that you have it, so they're gonna look for it, right? And best believe that it will spawn in the most obvious out in the open position, so it will be destroyed in seconds, because we know that because we've always tried to experiment with totems, because people love to say, oh man, these totems are so good, you should use Hex Third Seal. And it's like, okay, puts it on, and then the very next game that you see right after I put it on, the totems are gone. And it's like, well, what happened? I always use it, and it never gets destroyed. They're like, yeah. But unfortunately, my opponents know where the totems spawn, so they'll just look at those, or it'll just be lit up in the middle of the street on Garden of Joy, and it'll be immediately destroyed. But yeah, totems, yeah, for sure. That's what we need more of.
Not really any way in DBD for a survivor to gain over 25% haste without an exhaustion perk. I'm trying to think of, like, you're unhooked, you have 10%, you have babysitter, that's another 10%, and then you're running dark theory.
Oh, that actually makes it even worse. Oh, wow. That actually makes it even worse. Not only is it a totem, or you're taking the risk of literally having no perk after 60 seconds of the game starting, because, you know, sprint burst is pretty common, so I'd imagine they just spawn in, use sprint burst, and then immediately the totem will light up, and then they'll see the hex already active, then someone will run around and go look for it, and then it'll be destroyed, and then you won't have a perk. So, with that being said, 25% haste, huh? Oh, wow. Oh, goody. So, in other words, right, we're pretty much never gonna see this hex really do anything. That's exciting, because it's 25% haste, and I'm pretty sure most perks don't really give you that much. So that's great. I'm pretty sure exhaustions only give you about, like, what is it, like 10 or 15% or something silly like that. You don't get that much. 25? Come on, man. Because it says 25 at a time, so that means they would basically, the threshold is 25%, which means that none of their perks are affected by any of this. Like, because no perks are providing that kind of amount. Like, the only time you ever will see this is at endgame when they hop off of hook with an exhaustion perk. So we're talking about like 60% haste, and then it'll be reduced to 25 or something, or 20 or whatever it is, and then it doesn't even matter because it's still 25% haste at endgame. So you're still not going to do anything. Let alone, it says the first time a survivor gains haste, the first time. So that means that it's only effective at the very beginning to the middle of the match. So even when it matters most, this perk doesn't do anything. Like, what the hell? Yo, these perks are terrible.
On killers that don't have any mobility, I can legitimately see this perk actually being somewhat decent, because one of the major things that separates, you know, good mobility killers with everyone else is their ability to deal with exhaustion perks.
I completely disagree. If they made it so that survivors could not gain more than 10% haste at a time or something like that, or maybe 5% haste at a time, then I would go, oh, wow. Like, you know what I'm saying? Whoa, that's really good. 25. Scott already explained that it would require at least 25 just for that to be the limit. Like, oh, you can't go past 25. You need like 4 different combinations of perks before that even does anything. Like, what are we talking about? What the hell are these perks, man? Oh, goody. This is even worse.
The next is Vigilance. This is basically like a reverse objective obsession. Every 30 seconds, if the obsession is at least 32 meters away from you, you see their aura for 5 seconds. So the only thing that's going to determine whether or not this perk is abysmal dog shit or actually pretty decent is if that 30-second triggers no matter what, or the 30 seconds triggers when the conditions are met for the perk. What I mean by that is, if you are at 29 seconds and it's about to be used again, if you're 30 meters away, which means you're inside the radius, which means it's not going to be active, does it trigger the cooldown and waste it? Or does it wait for you to actually benefit from the aura reading and then it goes on cooldown?
Scott brings up a very good point. Now, knowing Behavior, right, because Behavior loves to make killer perks really dog shit, they'll make sure that it'll keep activating every 30 seconds, regardless if you're nearby or not, and then it'll go on cooldown. So you're welcome. Because I mean, we already have seen this with other perks in the game as well. Like perks that, logically speaking, you go, you know, this probably could be pretty good if it had this, that, and the third. This is Behavior. Okay? We already understand that their perk designs are always favored toward the opponent when you're on killer. They're favored toward the survivor when you're on killer. So when it comes down to this perk, you already know that it's going to just always activate every 30 seconds, regardless if you're 30, 32 or not. And that makes it horrible. You know what I mean? That makes it horrible. Now, the only time I can genuinely think that it could be decent is if you are using a stealth killer, potentially. Keyword is potentially, because watch it be something silly where it's like you just cannot use it on a stealth killer. You cannot use it on anything like that. I just don't see how this perk could be remotely useful. I really don't. I mean, there's other there's already a bunch of perks that also have like 30-second cooldowns that give you like low amounts of value for no reason at all. Another one I could think of is like Phantom Fear, where you get like one scream every like, what is it, every 30 to 60 seconds or something like that. I never use it because it's so pointless. Like, the heck? Some of these perks, man, like they just have no reason, like no reason to be used. They're just so terrible. Yeah, I mean, that's my thoughts on it. I want to hear what you guys think on these new perks that they're at least pitching that they're gonna try to work on. Maybe they'll change it. Maybe they'll do something else. I don't know. But I'm just saying, I don't think these are very good. I mean, I just don't think anyone would use them beyond the release day. Like, I don't think these are things that are gonna shake up the meta at all. I don't know. I want to hear what you guys think, man. Hit the like, hit the sub, man. Become a member on YouTube or Patreon. We'll see you, or even subbing on Twitch. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, let's go ahead and read off these wonderful members. We got Patreon, Crow Vader. All my YouTube members, Brando, Evil Blade, Cap Courteous, WTF You're Not J-Lo, Evil Peach, Hargan Falcon, Dole Whip, Noxus, Zero Mocker, Jack, Christian, and Crow Vader. Really appreciate you guys supporting, man. And if you also subbed on Twitch, just know that you got love coming your way too. Appreciate you guys, man.